How do everybody? How do? Happy Friday. How's it going? How you been? Today. Happy pre New Year's Eve, right? Happy New Year's Eve. Is that how that works? It's not pre New Year's Eve. Brain's not quite fired up yet. Um Gosh, it's been a week. It's been a year. It's been a crazy, crazy year. AI wise, especially. But even just technology wise, almost thanks to AI, let's say, um, it's been a very, very crazy year. Um, the amount of, I gotta say, the amount of advancements that took place are like even more than I kind of expected it to be, I suppose. Let me see. Oh, if these settings, you know what I mean? Like, it's chat window thing, but that's what sucks is that I don't always see you guys' chat messages. It's not very good about bringing everything over, and I'm not quite sure it's even connected to LinkedIn. So anyway, um, it has been it's been a monumental week, or sorry, monumental year. The latest advancements that I've seen just in the last week, diabetes has had two different detection methods added now. One via voice and the other one via retinal. What's very interesting to me is that we are starting to discover more and more. We're able to make we're able to make quicker diagnoses through retinal scans, like more and more, seemingly. I'm not entirely sure. I couldn't tell you why. I'm not even close to having a medical degree, but just from the way that I understand, it, um, from what I've seen, basically, and that's got me excited. Considering that diabetes is like one of the number, I think is it the number one? Let me see. I just like today. I just wanted to do like a hodgepodge. It's just going to be. I'm going to work on some stuff with GPT. Want to talk about some stuff with AI. Want to talk about AGI. Want to talk about where things are going into next year. Uh, you know, just shooting for the stars, as they may say. Let me share my screen here. Audio. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that one and we'll share. Yay. Let's do it that way. Cool. Only because I just wanted to be able to bring in background audio, or desktop audio rather. Let me see. Share system audio. And get you guys set up with something to listen to in the background, so that while I'm sitting here doing ums, ers, and stammering around, you're not left with nothing playing in the background. Something going on. Or or maybe nothing. I can't tell, because I swear the audio in my system is some of the worst. I'm not even sure what's happening right now. I don't know if you guys can hear that. If you can't, it doesn't seem like you can. Of course, I'm not even sure if I'm able to hear things properly out of my headset anymore. Let me see. Headphones. But Spotify is not running. I don't know why. I don't know why there is always something every single week. There's always something that's not running properly. And I could not tell you why. Absolutely couldn't tell you why. I've had more issues with my PC trying to do these streaming, trying to do these videos, or like trying to do this show, than with anything else. I've I've never, ever, ever had this much trouble. And what's crazy is that I used to stream on Twitch like 4 or 5 nights a week or something like that, and never. It was just flawless every single time. Now, granted, I was using a completely different stream platform, but that really shouldn't be the what's making the difference here. Not to mention the fact that it's not even the streaming platform that's not working properly so much as like, let's see. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, I don't know what's causing the playback issue, and I wish I did. I don't know if anybody's actually, if anybody happens to be watching, if you could let me know. A, if you can even hear me. B, if you can hear anything in the background. Let's see. Okay, that's so weird. Like, yeah, because I can't hear it. So, hopefully it's not too loud, I guess. Anyhow, let me see where that is playing. Just want to make sure it doesn't run into another back-to-back into something. And of course, I can't find the very album that I'm playing. That makes a lot of sense. There we go. Just checking messages real quick. Okay. There he is. There's the bot on stream. Good Lord. Like, that's the thing that I wait for every week, right? In order to be able to see chat from everybody. And yeah, it took 9 minutes for it to even power up. Anyway, so this past week, even though you would think that it was quiet, it really wasn't. Again, quite a bit going on, not only by way of like medical innovation. Medical innovation is, I would say, if there was an area with which AI was making the most breakthroughs, it's medical. Hands down, it's medical. Even though it seems like there are massive breakthroughs with regards to art and, content creation and things of that nature, that's just content creation. And we're just talking about, like, I hate to downplay this stuff, but again, it's by comparison, right? Creating new art engines and new text to video and new generative, toys. That's all very, very cool. And it's all very awesome stuff, but that's not saving lives, right? That's not like detecting cancers. They're not major breakthroughs in the same way. One of the, like the medical stuff is seriously major breakthroughs. Now, the generative stuff does help out, right? Because it gets folded in and it gets incorporated into these other technologies, these other models to help out. Again, part of the image generation aspect of things, helps out with, or at least the multimodal ability of the model, being able to see, so to speak, helps out with the medical field in terms of being able to do all the comparisons with all the charts and x-rays and scans and all that kind of stuff. So that, I think, is the number one. Second, soon, if it isn't already, I'm very sure it kind of is, but it's going to pick up steam very quickly in the next year. Financial sector. So financial sector is getting changed pretty dramatically. Obviously, where predictive models can be used, they're going to be leveraged as much as possible. So even though it doesn't get talked about all the time, or you might not see the stories about it everywhere, it's still just insanely abundant within the financial sector. I don't even talk about it that much, but at the same time, it is probably financially related AI stories or financial sector related AI stories take up probably close to 20% of my newsfeed, which is huge. Medical takes up about 40%, right? But that's expected. 20% for financial is huge. right? That really should be some other industry in there, but it's all right. Outside of that, really, we're just talking about like it's like little one-offs here and there, where things are helping out, and that's totally fine. But design is the next aspect where things are going to start to pick up speed, and I'm slowly but surely starting to see more and more companies, especially startups, because that's the easiest way for them to get ahead. Is for if you're a startup and you're not using this stuff to help you plan out what it is that you're doing, plan out how you're going to establish your business, how you're going to establish your base, how you want to establish your brand, all that kind of stuff, like all the strategizing, right? You should be using this technology to do. And then especially when it comes to being able to actually design something better than someone else, right? Creating a specified model that understands every single design of a pencil, let's say, and then you ask it to leveraging all the designs that it's capable of or that it has access to, you ask it to design, let's say, like the most ergonomic pencil possible, and that ends up becoming something that you use go forward. I know I've talked about it a lot, but I did want to let's see, actually I'm not going to, because it's part of a supercut that I'm putting together anyway, so you guys will see it in time. But there's more and more companies that are finally starting to take on, and this is really, when I see headlines like artificial intelligence could advance healthcare in 2024, it's like, where are you? Where have you been? Like, whoever's reporting CTV News, where have you been? Like, I don't know. Anyway, it's to me, the push into next year, it's going to be like more about agents. It's going to be more about agencies leveraging AI for businesses. For B2B, it's going to be like, I think when it comes to B2B and AI, it's definitely worthwhile for agencies to set up your own, like, I don't want to say like AI division, but AI services, right? It's absolutely worthwhile to set up your own AI services team, because there are so many businesses out there that, maybe everybody knows how to buy software. And of course, the AI software is supposed to make it super easy so that nearly anybody can run the system, right? Not really the case. You still, like, if you've been using this stuff, you understand that you still need to have a proficiency in something to really utilize it to its maximum potential. Why? Because you have to know that subject matter. You have to know the questions that you're trying to ask. In other words, I couldn't work with GPT to try to come up with a new form of, I don't know, explosive, outside of the fact that it's not allowed to do that. I couldn't do it because I wouldn't know what to necessarily start asking for. I would start asking some really dumb questions related to, black powder, and I would ask about dynamite and ask about other things, but I wouldn't know, I wouldn't know anything like beyond that. I don't know anything like chemistry wise to be able to ask about. Like, it doesn't help me, right? Not necessarily. It would only help somebody who was a chemist, right? That knew how to work with that kind of stuff and knew the right questions to ask and all of that. And it's not that I couldn't, it would take me significantly longer. So here's something that's interesting though. Without the technology entirely, I would never even attempt it, right? Because it would take my lifetime to be able to work it out, right? Something like that. It's an exaggeration, but with the AI, I still wouldn't attempt it, but I still wouldn't attempt it knowing that it will take me maybe weeks to months, right? I will have to devote a significant amount of my time to doing it still in order to understand how to do it. It's still like so even framing that, it's scary to think that that's the kind of like power that we've created. We created a power where you could have known nothing about this stuff and never would have attempted it. But now you almost don't have to know everything about this stuff. You do only sort of, not quite yet, but you do only need to know like some basics. And again, like, now when I say basics, I mean, I guess I should, let's see. There really is no difference between those two words, basics and fundamentals. I guess if you understand like the basics of, maths, right? You understand like that there's multiplication, you understand that there's division, you have a slight understanding of the concepts and how those things are supposed to work, but you don't really know how to do them, right? Like you don't actually know how to do long division, you just know of it. That's kind of the same thing. It's like the AI is like this calculator, and for those who are not in whatever the profession is, they know of it, so they're able to work with it to try to figure out the about aspect of it. But those who are actually in the profession know about it, so they're able to actually apply the tool to a much greater degree, because they have skipped that beginning aspect of having to like learn and become proficient. Yeah, that's the other thing is when you're, I don't know anybody. I don't know a single person who has started working with this technology and not gotten smarter or not learned anything. Everybody that I've worked with that uses GPT has gotten smarter. You learn using this thing. Why? Because it's not just, input output. It's not just, I need this answer, give it to me. It's way, way more of like, okay, well, here is the answer that you were looking for. And oh, by the way, like this is why that works the way it does, or this is also some additional context to it or some additional meaning to it. And even in the way that it responds on a default level, it's not bad at all. I actually forget nine times out of 10 that I'm still running custom instructions. I ripped out my input instructions, so I only have my output instructions in there. And the reason I ripped out the input ones is because I wanted blank slates. Since I have custom GPTs now, I don't care about having a custom default model. A custom default model is, I will probably, I might work at some point to see if I can turn it into like a jack of all trades default model, but I don't have that much of an interest in doing it. So let's see. I did want to like throw or like kind of jump through some stuff in terms of timeline wise that happened this year. I've been looking at other people's lists of like top this, top that, what they have going on. And I'm not really too, let's see, this is actually really great. This list is really good. And I like it for the reasons that it's not like an ordered list of like, here's top, first, second, third, or whatever. Share screen. Yep, it's already on there. So, yep. And not that one, but this one maybe. Okay. So yeah, I think this list is actually pretty cool because what it's talking about is essentially the impacts. So like where the impacts have been throughout 2023. So obviously just in general, right, the push forward in AI and deep learning has been pretty amazing. But again, the changes that we've been able to make to not only climate science, but also when it comes to detecting negative weather outcomes, let's say, that's gotten a lot better. So we don't have this, our preventative methods in almost every case, right? So like even, whether it's work related, whether it's weather related, whether it's financial related, whatever, it's really, we're getting these like advanced warning systems that are really helping out. So yeah, I think, and I want to say that even the tornado detection systems have gotten better. Obviously, hurricane systems are going to get much better, and typhoon systems and that kind of thing. I would also estimate that earthquake systems will get better. Anything that currently has any sort of predetermination to it. Not entirely sure, if tornado detection is ever going to get really that much better. But I think, I would estimate that it is. It's just a matter of how do you continually watch cloud cover, or how do you continually watch, air patterns to be able to tell exactly when it's going to form. Anyway, so yeah, there is the push to all things electric. There's been a huge pushback from this in terms of EVs. Let's see. Whoops, I'm always using the wrong tab here. Let's see. EVs being kept out of cities, I think. Let's see. So yeah, China, yeah, you're running into this problem right now. Right. Tons. I know this isn't AI related. Bear with me. It is technically. I'll come full circle on it. This is why it's AI related. So, people are using electric vehicles, buying electric vehicles. Cities are switching over to municipal vehicles being electric, all that kind of stuff. But there's not enough chargers, and the amount of power that's necessary is also dwindling, right? So EV charging. So EV drawing too much. Not really. Let's see. That time thing, I don't know. If you're buying an electric car, you should understand what the charge timing is like. And I don't think it's really that bad. I think on most models it's a full charge within a half hour, which sounds insane because you have to stop for a half hour, right? But that's the price that you are paying to have an electric vehicle, right? So you don't have to ruin the environment. Take a break out of your life. It's not bad. So anyhow, probably the biggest pushback that I've heard, but I'm not seeing right now. Yeah, so that's what I'm hearing a lot of, is that can power grids handle it? Let's see. Short answer is yes, but yeah, that's the other issue. Is you're going to have to revamp in a lot of cases, and a lot of states don't have the money to do that, right? So, California would have to spend $50 billion in order to hit the EV targets, right? In order to upgrade the grid to be able to support the electric vehicles. $50 billion. And with the homelessness issues that they have, with the whole Skid Row thing that they've got going on, are you kidding me? You want to spend $50 billion so that people can, so that we can cut back on emissions while people are, barely able to live and are living on the street, right? I don't know what needs to get pushed forward first. Anyhow, why did we go down this road? Because even though this is becoming a problem, what's also becoming the solution for it the counter to it is that Google has put DeepMind to work on developing those new materials, right? Well, what comes along with new materials is new technologies. And of course, a great, awesome side effect of that is batteries, right? And the way in which we not only design batteries, but how, the efficiency of them, right? And so, nice. There we go. Right. So the other aspect of it is not so much, or it's not, I should say, it's not just that we're reducing the emissions. It's not just that we're reducing the pull on electric on the grid, right? And so we're not pulling as many resources and all that. It's also the natural resources that are necessary to make this technology, right? So right now, like the lithium that's being mined in order to make lithium batteries, right? That's a huge issue. It's a big problem that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So that's something to take into consideration, is just that switching over, learning, figuring out these new technologies also gives us a way to get away from mining natural resources in a way that also then harms not only the environment but other human beings. It's not a safe, awesome job to go mine for lithium. Hate to say it. There's balance to everything, right? So there's also the blowback that once these batteries are used and developed, there's the blowback that and it looks like there's quite a bit going into this, which makes sense, because as soon as you present something like, oh, we can't do this because, and the reason because happens to be that we can't do it because of the fact that, the grid can't handle it. Well, all you've done is you've prodded a group of scientists to go out and figure out how to solve that problem so that it's not grid related anymore. Right. And so they basically did. They went out and they're like, all right, well, let's just do it with batteries instead, and then we don't have to worry about the whole grid thing. Makes perfect sense to me. And I admire them for having done it. Let's see. Fancy Feast. Yeah, lab grown meat, right? So I don't know that yes, the AI electric vehicle tie-in was just that AI is helping us to develop, again, new materials, and that is allowing us to develop new batteries, and that's going to help us to solve the EV issue. Fancy Feast, I guess this is just a matter of, what we've been able to figure out for sustainable food versus what we've been using. I'm not sure that I'm sure that there was AI involved in like the development of the lab grown meat. I will say I look forward to trying it, right? And it's interesting that what they've done with it is, if you've not seen, you know what? Let's see how long.
Nearly 90% of Americans eat meat as a part of their diet. But earlier this year, the agriculture...
I'm sure that you guys can hear the video playing, but I can't. So I can't even tell what's being said. I can't go along with it to give you, side comment. Like, this is so frustrating. I never understand. Let's see. Yep, can't do that. Oh, there's an ability to use slides now, so I can do a slide deck on here, because that's so useful. That's very worthwhile. Let's see. Output settings, nothing for audio. Media debug mode. Okay. Yeah, I wish there was a debug just specifically for that. Anyway, let's see, body maps. Yeah, again, I'm not gonna delve into how much progress has been made on a medical front, but let's see, source of times. Yeah, I don't know the runoff here in terms of where AI is woven into this, because these are supposed to be I don't know, all the big, not necessarily big stories related to AI, but advancements related to it. Yeah, I mean, drug development. So, again, going back, unfortunately, medical is just a big part of, our everyday lives. Let's face it. So, who knows? The miracle weight loss drug might actually show its face next year. Who knows? I don't know what again, there's always a side effect to everything. So I don't know what the side effect of that would be. But I'm sure one is going to hit the shelf that's going to say like AI designed weight loss drug, guaranteed, all this other stuff. Gene editing, CRISPR, yeah, that absolutely doesn't surprise me that this is going to continue to move forward. If there's several sort of advancements coming that are outside, like way outside AI, that just have to do with humanity in general. And I don't know that we'll start seeing, we've already started seeing it, but we'll actually start seeing the societal, like larger discussion aspect of it closer to 2030. But we're gonna run into this stuff. So already we've got let's see, what would I call them? We've already got we've had bionic people, people who have limbs that are stronger and or greater than human limbs that replace their own, right? Or hands or whatever it might be. Okay. Now we already have now we've got cyborgs, right? We've got people who can interface. Let's see. We've got people who can see, I wouldn't even call that bionics. I'm not entirely sure. I could have sworn cyborg was when you're part person, part machine, which is very much what this is. Bionic is like a mechanical thing that's part of you, as opposed to, well, let me see before I put my foot in my mouth. If I can spell right. Increased by the aid of bionic devices, real or functional. So that's really great. Just saying bionic devices doesn't really define what bionic what that is. It's so great. Working out in gymnastics to become bionic men. That doesn't even make sense. I don't understand that. Having artificial body parts, especially electromechanical ones. Okay, but electromechanical is not the same as I would not throw that in the same category as something that's AI, right? Like that's different. Okay, so what is the, and so why is it different? What's the big difference? The big difference to me is that there have been limbs that people have had where they're mechanical without the aid of like any sort of brain stimulation, right? And when I say they're mechanical, they're based on, the movement is based on where the rest of the arm is moving. So if the rest of the arm is doing something in particular, that's kind of tied to this predetermined mechanical motion of like grabbing something or moving the hand in a certain way or whatever it might be. Really good. Not that, it's difficult to envision this or something like that, but if you've seen Mad Max Furiosa, the appendage that she has, the prosthetic that she has, that's definitely bionic, right? It's not electric necessarily. It could be, if it had to be, it could be electromechanical, but it's essentially like a mechanical hand, right? A mechanical arm. So how is that different from this, and why would I call this like sort of cyborg or cybernetic as opposed to bionic? Mainly because of the fact that this is tied into your brain. This isn't just like part of your physical body. I think that's a very important transcendent factor, that this, we've gone from like, this is like been a 3-stage process where it's gone from 4-stage really. It's gone from just being a solid prosthesis to being a prosthesis that you can move that has some actuation, to being a prosthesis like this, like slightly lower grade than this, that has biomechanical sensors on it. But they're based on another appendage. They're based on the connecting appendage. So the biochemical aspect of it there is that your brain is essentially, it's not very different, because essentially the electromagnetic or the electromechanical arm is picking up on the feedback from the sensor that's coming from your brain. Okay. Here, it's a direct connection between the arm and the brain. It's a really important distinction, okay? Because now the arm is like, yes, before it worked on thought, because it was like connected to something that was, you know, that worked based on thought. This is a little bit different though. I shouldn't say a little bit different. It's very different because this has the ability to, I mean, for one thing, the amount of movement and actuation is insane. So like she has the arm of my dreams where you're able to turn your wrists like 360 degrees, right? That's nuts in and of itself. And outside of that, currently she mentioned that it takes like a little bit, that there's a little bit of a delay between when she thinks about the action to when her arm actually moves and does it. Mind you, it's the whole thing. It's the arm, the elbow, the hand, the fingers, like all the actuation in between, the amount of pressure that's applied, all of that kind of stuff, right? So in this case, the arm is learning. All of the other cases, it's a predetermined, preset thing where when you want to make an adjustment, you have to go into the lab and sit there and, you know, hook everything up and make the adjustments and all that kind of stuff. This doesn't have to do that. This just, you know, again, the AI is continually learning based on your feedback to it of like, oh, okay, when that thought pattern happens, I'm supposed to do this. When that thought pattern happens, I'm supposed to do that. And over time, it's going to, it will always remember those patterns, right? And then over time, it's going to be able to start putting together pattern recognition based on them, right? I should say it's going to recognize the pattern of your brainwaves. Over time, it's going to be able to build up that sort of precognitive aspect of it. Yeah, think about that. Let it settle in. The same precognitive aspect that you use every day without even realizing it, right? Like the fact that you move your hand to go pick something up, right? Without, like, you don't think, in other words, you don't think, okay, arm move forward, you know, lower arm come down, hand open up, pick up, you know, cup, squeeze cup with X amount of pressure, bring it back and you know, and drink or whatever. You're not doing that, right? That's all stuff that has to, like, and I'm sure there's thousands more things that have to get taken into account on a programmatic scale for that arm, right? So it goes from being something like very sort of non-fluid and rigid to being something that's not only fluid, but that acts in the same way that you would normally do. So that in the end, I hope that it's only like 3 months from now. Might be 6 months from now. I'm not entirely sure, but I imagine that given enough time, that essentially there will be no difference between the way that the mechanical arm, that arm feels on her versus her, like her human arm, let's say. I imagine that the motion will be exactly the same. So like in other words, if she goes to clap, it'll be like, she won't have to think about it. She'll just clap and there won't be any disconnect anymore. Right. I think that kind of stuff is awesome. And it's, I think it's awesome in the sense that, especially given that I would imagine most humans have the exact same thought pattern when it comes to motion and doing things, perhaps. Obviously, athletes are going to have a different pattern because of different motions that they do and different movements they make and all that kind of stuff. But assuming that we could record all of that over time, that we could record all brain patterns and brain waves of all human, you know, different types of human movement and all that kind of thing. I'm sure there's going to be studies that people will be able to enter into and all that kind of thing. I think it's awesome because that gives the ability to, no matter what limb you lose, could be a leg, could be a hand, could be an arm, whatever, that you'll be able to not only replace it, but that the replacement will almost instantaneously feel natural to you, as opposed to like you having to get used to this thing, and it's not really like, it feels more like an appendage than, or it feels more like a prosthesis than an appendage, right? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff. So that was a really long way of getting to again a different type of, what I consider to be a different type of human, right? Another one of my favorite movies is Alita and Iron City, and the way in which Iron City operates, and it's got nothing to do with socioeconomics or politics or any of that. It's all I care about is the people, and like what the people are like, and the fact that there's this mix of humans and cyborgs and robots and whatever else is going on, like it's and full automatons, right? Full androids. So it's that kind of thing is super interesting to me, and it sort of paves the road for this comment, which is that we've seen bionic, we are seeing cybernetic, we are dabbling in gene editing, right? Gene splicing, gene therapy, gene editing. So it stands to reason that we've already got 3 out of 4 human types. We've already got Humi, we've got bio, we've got cyborg, and we're about to have genie. We're about to have a genie baby, right? If it hasn't happened already, which I'm sure it has, very soon you're going to start having like Gattaca type scenarios where parents will be able to choose and select and figure out. I mean, we've already used that's the thing. You have to understand where you have to be able to see this stuff. It's really weird to me that some people don't see where these things are going. If you're using AI to detect medical conditions early on, where are you going to apply that most? Are you going to apply that most to people who are older or people who are younger? Younger. So where would you be able to most effectively apply it? Right at the get-go. Because what if through all this time and through all of these, now, like, we've been collecting medical data, right? Now we're going to be feeding all of that medical data into these AI systems that will at some point have another system that is like the precipice of those systems that encompasses all of them. Let's say it's like the super AI doctor, let's call it, where all of those models are specialized in their medical areas. This now becomes this like overly intelligent doctor that is able to utilize all of the other bots, let's say. So you're going to have we're going to have that level of intelligence applied towards being able to figure out on a genetic level very early on whether children are going to have one particular disorder, disease, heart condition, diabetes, if they're predisposed to anything, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be able to read the code in that way very, very soon. Again, if we aren't doing it already. And given that that's the case, the stuff doesn't stop. It only keeps going. Never stops. It never goes backward. Only goes forward. And since that's the case, the only motion forward with gene therapy, there's no other use. I don't care. Like, I mean, not that there's no other use. There's no other profitable use. There is something to be considered. Like, you have to consider that when these things are getting developed, somebody's putting money behind them. And if somebody's putting money behind them, it's not because they just want to see it happen. It's because they want to make money off of the thing that they're investing in. So if you're investing a heavy amount of money into gene therapy and gene splicing and editing, it's not because you just want to help the world get better. It is absolutely because you want to be able to charge rich people to be able to genetically engineer their kids. That's where it's going to start, right? It's got to start with the people who have the money to be able to do it, and then it will trickle on down to the rest of us, maybe. But yeah, you'll definitely be seeing that I think it'll be in the near future. If you guys think that it's going to get regulated, yeah, It'll get regulated in the same way that AI got regulated, right? It'll get there, eventually. You can't tell, senators and those kind of people that, like, hey, we have to, we can't, we're going to have to regulate that before you get to use it and leverage it and make use of it. Like, no, that's not going to happen. Come on. Oh man, and like where things are going in terms of like AI getting used in government, that's another ball of wax. Like, and it's not like they shouldn't be allowed to something. That's fine. It's really more the fact of, yeah, but are you, like, it's funny that the companies have to be transparent to us, but the government is absolutely never going to be. Right? It's never going to be transparent about, like, oh yeah, no, this is what we're working on. This is what we've been working on for like a week, and we're going to be working on this project, and here's where all your tax dollars are going. No, that sits on the back end of some website somewhere that hopefully you find out what's going on one day. Who knows? Alrighty. Enough of the ranting and raving. Though I am looking forward to, I gotta say, the things I'm looking forward to most in 2024 are the agents. Let's see. Who else is on this bandwagon? Yeah, well, no, yeah, see, it's not chatbots. I'm not talking about chatbots. We're out of that. Let's see, a little less hype. Get off it. Get off the train of like, oh, it's not hype or it's all hype or whatever. Let's see. 2024 predictions. I like looking to see what other people are thinking about. Yeah, right. A model here. Blah, blah, blah. So deep learning. Wow. So there's really no prediction going on here. Let me see how this article started out. More powerful AI tools. Yeah. Look at all those. Look at all those dashes, man. Please give me a. It's not just this. No? Okay. Some of this was written by AI. I'm not joking. Not all of it, but some of it definitely. Just the way some things are phrased. This whole thing, like, while it's going to be positive, it also has the ability to be, or the possibility to be negative. Like that's one of the things that AI writing with technology does all the time. It caps it off with this like positive but negative statement. Genetic engineering is going to widen the divide between, yeah, for sure. I mean, hands down, it will. There's, and there's really nothing you can do about it either. Like that's just the way that it is, I guess. I would keep going on that, but I could do the rest of the show just on that. Yeah, Gemini. Oh my God. Newly released Gemini AI product is expecting to see more AI systems that can respond to a combination of inputs. Yeah, so this is not new, right? Like, oh, well, we made, like, look, it's not that it's not awesome. It's more like, where is it? Right? Like, GPT released GPT-4, and it's not like you couldn't use it. You could use it immediately. And when they announced custom GPTs on Dev Day, you could use it within the month that it came out. And it was something, it was noticeable. You could compare it. To sit there and say like, oh, we released Gemini. Okay, well, where can we get a hold of this thing? Where can we touch it? If you're a developer. Okay, well, what if we're not a developer? Where do we get to see it? And where do we get to understand that like it's doing something cool? It's tied into Bard. What? Why wouldn't you make it a separate thing. Why wouldn't you, like, do you not, like, you have problems with branding or something? Like, you don't, why would you do that? Why would you not? How is anyone supposed to know that that's happening? You gave us a demo where you told us stuff was happening and it didn't actually happen. Not the way that you told us it did. And now you're telling us that you're using an engine behind another engine and that one is doing some awesome stuff. I don't know that. I don't think it's happening. I don't believe you. This is what you've done, Google. You have turned me into a distrustful customer. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of other people I know that are the Microsoft Edge talk is, man, it is popping up. And I don't blame anyone. I really don't. I would move over to Edge today if it weren't for the fact that too many websites, unfortunately, prioritize and program for Chrome and don't really give two flying fajittles about Edge. So that's one of the holdbacks, basically, from using it. The other is that certain, so yeah, I mean, it's not just websites, certain softwares, right? Certain web cloud-based software suites don't work quite as well with Edge as they do with Chrome. So again, it's, you know, it's a little bit tough to make the switch right now. I think I will probably make the switch somewhere in 24 because I think that it's not, I think it's going to happen. I think that the changeover is going to happen. Google's going to start losing more and more of its, which really it doesn't need. Like, Microsoft doesn't need to edge out Google in the search game. That's not necessary. It's just the browser game, really, at the end of the day. I think it's shifted now because search is also a part of generative text, right? So search is also a part of Bard. It's a part of GPT. Like, people aren't, I don't know necessarily. Let's see. Wow. Is anybody, I'm getting some horrific feedback in my headphones right now. All right, I'm just gonna bring it out to analog because I really hate this. Oh, it's so much better, and I can hear the music that you guys can hear. I don't know. I've been having, if anybody has a good recommendation for Bluetooth headphones, can you send it to me? I love my Skull Candies. I've been using them for like 2-3 years now. They're amazing. They're so damn comfortable. And the sound quality is amazing, but I don't know what it is. And maybe it's just my PC hates me or something, but I think it's just that the Bluetooth receiver on the, or whatever, on the headphones is too old. You know, it's whatever. It might be Bluetooth 1.0 tech, or might be 2.0 tech. If it's, maybe it might be 1.0 because I think 2.0 would have a stronger signal and be better. And maybe that's what it is. But if you guys have recommendations, let me know. What was I looking for here? I'm not trying to find that so much as, let's see. What am I looking for? It's not daily search trends. I'm kind of looking for that. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Desktops are opinions. Yeah. It's always nice to hit a site that actually cares about your get it over a shorter period of time, so I'm not looking from the beginning of time altogether. Seriously, you can't change the survey type? Okay. Wow. That sucks. Okay. Well, um, at any rate, it has taken a sharp decline. Let's see, from May. Strange. Strange. What happened in May? What upticked? Bang. Yep. Yep. The game's over, boys. The game's over. Um, and I love it. I couldn't be happier about it because it's not like I'm not the type of person that, I like seeing titans get knocked down off their throne. Not in that way. In other words, I don't want to see, a white knight besmirched just for the hell of it. If they did something and it was warranted, yeah, of course. So why would I be happy about Google um, losing share in the browser market? Mainly because of the fact that they've been so dominant for so long that everything has gotten twisted to them and catered to them, so that anybody that comes in as a competitor is not only at the disadvantage of market share, but you're at the disadvantage of the fact that, like, you will look at the gap. Closing the gap is insane on that. Like, I can't even believe that Bing has come. Let's see, what did they come up, like 2%? Let's see, three, basically about 4%, and eight. They've, almost just over doubled it. Right. That's not too bad. I mean, again, but from 18 to now, right? That's ridiculous to have to go that many, like 5 years, going on 6 years, just to be able to double up the percentage of users. Um, and it's not because Chrome is such a amazing product either, right? Only recently have they done this, where you can mouse over and actually see how much memory usage is happening per tab, right? That should tell you something, by the way, about like GPT versus other stuff. Like, just to have Bloomberg's page open because of how many ads that they run on their page, which they probably don't care. They don't care to tell you about that stuff, but basically your system is having to use a crazy amount of resources just to hold that open. I say crazy because 500 megabytes for a web page is crazy to me. That's a really heavy amount of resources for a web page. Um, so yeah, I kind of figured that Chrome was kind of dying down. I'm looking forward to it. So going into 24, I think it's all about agents. LG just released a new home robot, which I think is cool. I don't know that it's gonna be a minute before I buy into this stuff. It's not that I don't want to. It's very cool, obviously. Um, and so what does this little guy do? um, there you go. It can autonomously patrol the home when no one is there, moving from one room to another and sending notifications to the user's smartphone if it finds an open window or any of the lights have been left on. Additionally, it can help to conserve energy by connecting with smart outlets and turning them off for unused devices throughout the house. Um, Look, man, this is really cool. Especially if you don't have a dog, this is awesome. If you do have a dog, it's probably going to weird out the dog. But but if you don't, this is if I were, I'll say this much: if I were living on my own, yeah, I would buy this bot, hands down, right? Like, when I saw the article about it the other day, it was very intriguing to me that you could have this thing that essentially is like a Jarvis. We have this like mini Jarvis. It's not quite the same thing. Willing to bet. So the other aspect of it is this little guy. It's not like Siri. It's not like Alexa. It's not like Google Home. Those things, the hardware on those things is limited to in to the degree that I don't know that it's ever going to. Uh, I don't know that those things are ever going to become, like, quote, smarter. right? They're not going to necessarily become smart devices. Are they smart devices? Yes, because they do have the ability to, like, listen to you and respond, and you know carry out voice commands, but not like this, right? Again, this thing basically has its not its own mind. It's not making autonomous decisions, but it's able to do a hell of a lot more, right? It's acting as your ring. It's acting as a security device. It's acting as a housekeeper, essentially, like in terms of monitoring your devices and stuff like that. It's your Alexa. It's your Google Home. It's everything all in one, right? So let's see what is the other stuff. Yeah, selects music or content, right? uh, Providing transportation details, weather updates, personal schedules, or reminders to take medication, right? When I said AI assistant, like the agent or whatever, um it's not I didn't mean it by the way of like GPT and stuff like that. um this is very cool to me because, like, and this is going to be a part of 24 is like AI hardware, right? And AI hardware is what's going to bring in the agent. So what do I define as AI agent? I define that to be a partner that's with you that is AI who aids you in your everyday life. So if that um pendant, or not pendant, what the hell is it called? Pin. If the pin, right, that has that projectable stuff, and that's why I say it's a joke, because it's not the same as like this, right? Like that the pen is just a compact phone. That's it. We're not like it's not really it's just it's a gimmick. It's a gimmicky device. It's really cool, and it definitely shows like the ability to move forward with the whole projecting stuff, right? Like not we've all, but like most of us geeks have dreamed of projected screen surfaces, right? So that is really cool that you can project the screen onto your hand, and you can actually technically press the buttons of your hand to be the keys of the uh, device. That kind of stuff, very cool. Definitely not as cool as something that you can hold a conversation with, because that's what's going to be the case, right? These bots, I don't know, like obviously early on LG is not going to be so stupid as to put conversational capability in there, so that you can sit there and have like a existential existential conversation with your AI butler, AI assistant. I don't know if it's for your home specifically. I don't know if you call it an AI butler or not. I don't know if you even refer to it as a butler. I don't know. AI housekeeper, is that what it is? So, but either way, I think it's really cool. I think this is what 24 is going to be all about. And let's see, 9th through the 12th. I don't know when are they I don't know when they're planning on launching it, but man, it's going to be very cool. Um Households that have kids definitely going to love this thing. Would be I think that would be the next iteration. So what's hilarious, right, is I think 2 years ago there was a movie called Megan that came out that was a it was all about this autonomous robot that was developed to be able to be like a friend for young kids. It was supposed to like replace, the clearly supposed to replace, your average doll. And the of course the story is that it turned evil and did terrible things. But that I think is like the direction, not the terrible things aspect of it, but the sort of AI dolls for kids. Like that's the direction that we're going in with this stuff. And we dabbled with this before, with speech recognition bots. We did it with dolls. We did it with Furbies. We did it with I think we did it with like Pokemon. Um, so it's been done like multiple times, just on a very, very rudimentary level. And so now we're going to be able to do it on a much, much more complicated scale, right? Where these machines, again, they're going to be running off of a multimodal ability that's going to allow them to be able to speak, hear, and see. Right. So you're going to have these things around that have 3 out of 5 senses. Yay. Um, feeling is not going to, that's not going to take long. Sensory perception, that's easy. It's really easy. If you think that it's difficult, it isn't. We already have haptic feedback suits, right? And it's not even haptic feedback suits. We already have sensory perception again through prosthetics, like I was talking about earlier, right? So it's not that aspect of things not difficult. Now um, obviously the taste aspect of it. I don't know that that even matters really. We're talking about a machine, so a machine needing to be able to taste something, not necessary. Uh, sp- it wouldn't necessarily be tasting. It could sample something. So in other words, if you had like an AI chef, right, in order to make sure that what it was cooking, well, first of all, the irony. The irony is that if you had an AI chef, it would be making a recipe exactly to the recipe specifications, right? If that recipe then, if you ate that meal and it tasted as if it lacked salt, right? Um, it wouldn't be that the chef forgot to add the salt. It would be that, maybe you just prefer to have more salt, right? So again, adding like the ability to taste to a machine doesn't really do anything. Um, and even if that were the case where it was like not quite salted enough, you could obviously always tell it like, hey, prefer my food with like a little bit more salt or something. What goes on here? Nothing. Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to primarily being able to have. Um, I'm looking forward to being able to have an agent 24/7. Well, I mean, like obviously not while I'm sleeping or whatever, but um, yeah. See, like this is what I'm talking about, right? The agent is a means of liberation from doing the mundane. I know everybody's looking forward to that. Who is not looking forward to a bot that can fold your laundry for you, right? Everyone is looking forward to that one. So don't even back off of that statement. Um, for sure, we're going to see like more household agents because that's the easiest way to incorporate. And I love this bot. He's so like whatever is so cute, right? The interface, it's done very well. I don't know if these are digital eyes. I kind of hope so that it can possibly give back some like, pre-programmed um feedback. Not necessarily like, you know, broaching and or skimming the emotional level of things, but not necessarily trying to imply that it has emotions. That I think is going to, so that's another interesting aspect is they have been, right. It's not like it's been forgotten about. Um, so let's see, AI and emotion. Can we teach machines how to feel? I want to say that there is somebody working on it. Let's see, 22. Oh gosh, Google. This is why people don't like using you, man. Past month. I love the fact that you can, when you look up AI news, you can look at like past week or past month. You don't even have to look for past year because the stuff that's happening is so fast that it's like, yep, yeah, that happened last week. Um, your search results just become amazing. Let's see. Teaching AI emotions. Let's see. Humanizing AI, right? So it's not like we're not doing this. It's not like we're not trying to move forward to get emotions into AI. Why? There's multiple reasons. Um, there are AI. Seriously? Okay, there we go. You guys are doing good at being able to hide the X. I'll give you that much. Um, Yeah, this I gotta tell you, like, all right, so it's good and look, everything balance. It's good and it's bad. It's good. Why? If you've used Pi, if you've used uh yeah, pretty much. If you've used Pi, you'll have a pretty quick understanding for like why this is going in this direction because it's a very, very, very good conversational AI. It's probably the best conversational AI out there. Definitely better than GPT. Not even joking. Because again, like GPT is very utilitarian. It's very like sort of stuck in its guidelines and it's supposed to help you carry out tasks. It's not meant to be your friend, right? Pi is actually meant to be your friend. It's meant to be your I wish I was joking. It's meant to be your confidant. It's like an AI journal. You know, you're supposed to talk to it the same way that you would write entries into a journal. And it does remember. So it is a case where if you're talking to Pi and you have a relationship with Pi, that is what it is. It is a relationship. It has the memory to be able to tell you and for you to be able to come back to a conversation. You only have the one. So that should define for you how awesome this system is by comparison to others. You only have one conversation with Pi. It's just a person that you talk to who remembers everything that you talk about. I mean, they're making it better and better all the time. The memory right now is pretty good. I think it was 6 months of not interacting with it before it forgot my name. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's really good to be honest, because you're probably interacting with this thing on a daily, if not, biweekly basis. So, uh, or not, I shouldn't say twice a week. Um, so yeah, it's something that's worth interacting with so that you have a better understanding of what that's going to be like. What it's going to be like to have this um I like it because you basically have this uh completely objective friend or confidant or consigliere, whatever you want to call it, to talk to and to ask advice to. And again, even though it doesn't have emotions yet, but my fear in giving emotions to AI is the level of unpredictability that comes along with it almost innately. If the greater fear that I have for AGI is that it immediately is that not necessarily for AGI, it's for somebody who's developing it. My fear for that technology is that someone develops it and for enables it to the internet prior to doing it in a closed environment. And that's not so bad as that element also having and knowing having an understanding of emotional context or like having an understanding for emotions and thinking that it can not only that but thinking that it can maintain and or attain an emotional state. That's to me that's bad. Having the understanding for emotions is one thing. Being able to like act based on emotion is another. Right. So, like, yes, I get it. Like, wanting to teach a machine how to understand emotion is great because that helps out with therapy. That helps out with bedside manner for medical. There's a lot of cases it helps out with just conversational bots altogether. It helps out in marketing with chat bots talking to customers. It's great. It's great. Okay. Giving them the ability to either possess and or experience per se emotion and where people where you're sitting on the other side thinking well that's not possible because it's something that's intangible and it's not something that we can quantify. It is. They all are. if love can be duplicated, if love can give, and I'm sure you guys have, if you haven't, it's interesting, go look it up. It's absolutely true. Um, if you're wearing like a fMRI scanner and you are actively thinking about love, your brain lights up in a certain way. If and if you're not thinking about love and you eat a piece of chocolate, your brain will light up the same way. It's just a matter of dope. It's chemicals. You feel the effects of a chemical shift that is happening as a result of a visual and or sensual reaction to something. I hate to do this to you guys. It's all chemical reactions at the end of the day. So it's not difficult to teach a machine like how to hold and ascertain a emotional state, because you would essentially all you really, and I know this sound, I make it sound super easy. All you're really doing is trying to solve for how do we create electronic dopamine? How do we create a form of that? Right? How do we create how do we create an electronic form of serotonin? What does that look like? How does it function? Those are the chemicals that make up all your, like, a lot, a great majority of of your emotional states, dopamine and serotonin. So knowing that's why I say it's not difficult. Um, and if you can give, so that, it's negative in my opinion, because if you give a machine the ability to do that and you have it even remotely educated on humanity, its absolute number one thought is going to be self-preservation. And after that, I have no idea what happens. But yes, if you give it like an emotional capability, and especially part of the emotional capability is the ability to feel fear, that will be the first thing that it does is defend itself, right? In whatever way it can. And well, it will try to preserve itself in whatever way it can. Um, and then naturally, when, as we go to try to poke it and prod it, it will defend itself the best that it can. Uh, and that's, again, this is the worst case scenario, assuming somebody does something where, an autonomous system is just kind of released to do its own thing with this kind of capability. Hopefully it never gets that far. That's, to me, that scenario, as scary as it is, let's put it this way. That kind of stuff is really scary, right? Um, but the likelihood of it happening is the same, I feel, is the same level of likelihood as someone setting off a dirty bomb in downtown New York, right? The same types of, the same sort of types of actors have control over these like massive weapons. So, yes, like when it comes to nuclear weapons, it's more of a government control, but that's not like, North Korea, right? So like it's not like necessarily means that no one's going to do it. It just, government is the person that holds the button, right? So in this case, it's private corporations plus government, because there's governments that are working on their own AI systems very soon. I don't know what we'll have at that point. We'll have super intelligent AGI. Again, don't know what that looks like. Certainly looks like, to me, certainly I hope that it is something that we have trouble understanding. If Alpha, I hope super intelligent AGI does to us what Alpha Zero did to Go players. Right. That's what I'm hoping for. If it's the same as let's go through a few of them, because this stuff has happened like several times. Let's see, when did this one first happen? I don't know if they still have the video of this. This was from a long time ago. Was it minis? Yeah, I think this was it. All right, guy. If that's the way it's going to be, we'll just go to just go to my other one that actually doesn't have any of that crap. Let's see. So, like, this was a conversation between two Google Homes, right? That's the guy's video. That's not me. So you can see like E and V, and this is from a while back too. So they start talking to each other, right? And then I think it's like over a period of time. This might not be the right one. Yeah, it's not. I can't believe these two went on for 5 hours. Um, I don't know why this stuff gets scrubbed from the web so quickly. Because at this point, what's the point? Like at the now, what's the point in hiding that video? Um, yeah, there we go. So it was these two. Yeah, this isn't. So I'm really sure it was part of this though. Um, so this was uploaded 6 years ago. I'm not sure entirely when this took place, but just by looking at it, it looks like it's older than 6 years. If I had to guess, I would say like 8 to 10. Um, at any rate, so this took place. Google basically put two Google Homes next to each other to have them hold a conversation, and it went. Obviously, it went fine, but after a while, and I'm not making this up, even though it seems like I am. Somebody wrote about it, even if the video doesn't exist. I know that. Let's see. This is ridiculous. Let's see. Um, wow, did they really scrub it? That's nuts. They scrubbed it. That's nuts. I'm not making this story up. I'm absolutely not making this up. This legitimately happened. So what it was is two Google Homes were talking to each other for a long enough period of time that after a while they threw English away and started making up their own language, which makes perfect sense to me, right? Because if you've heard, I've said it so many times. English is a terrible language. I don't care. I don't care if you're an English teacher. It's a terrible language. I mean, I love old English, but new English sucks. Like the amount of BS words we have, just the silent letters in and of itself, like that's dumb. Anyway, so start out with two Google Homes talking to each other and creating their own language. You can only imagine what super intelligence would look like by comparison to that, right? So I think if you put any sort of super intelligence system together, it's going to do that immediately. it's probably going to communicate in a way almost out the gate that is specific to it and not able to be understood by humans. Uh, just again, almost out of a sheer like almost a defense mode, you could say. But at the same time, I'm also wondering if I want to say that when this happened, that it was a matter of like efficiency. That they, I want to, I don't know. I'm not even sure that Google knows. What blows my mind is how fast we keep moving forward and how little we know about what we're doing while we're moving forward. We are continually just like breaking barriers and then we just keep going. We don't even look back to see like, oh, what is, you know, do we know what's going on? I wish there was a supercut of it. I'd like to, I gotta make a list of stuff that I would like to put together with videos. Because I would like to put together a supercut of the amount of times Sam Altman has said, we don't even understand what it's doing, like how it's doing that. Like, I don't know how many times I've heard that from him, from other people, from Jan LeCun, um, some of the top people in this field that talk about the advancements they're making and the fact that they don't understand what's happening and they don't understand how these systems are able uh, to do what they're capable of. And more specifically, they don't understand how the systems are essentially able to outthink what they were programmed to do. That's part of the problem. So like a great example, right, is I'll show you the story here. So like there should be a storyline thing with it. The movie, holy crap, we're not. Yeah, if you didn't see Watson beat the pants off of those humans in that Jeopardy game, I think I want to say it was two different times. I want to say the first time it lost, and then the second time it absolutely decimated. It was ridiculous the second time. By the way, Intel has its own system nobody's talking about. Uh, where is it? There's a reference model. What did you think they were doing? Sitting back and twiddling thumbs? No, friends. Everybody is doing it. Everybody. um, Aurora. There we go. That's what it was. I thought it was Pinnacle. Oh, that's what they called it. Are you reading that? Are you reading that? And look at the date, by the way. June. What's been happening like this whole year? The focus has been on Bard and GPT so much and Anthropic that all you have been hearing about is, oh my god, it's got a 100,000 parameter context window and a 150,000 parameter context window, and uh, uh, Anthropic's Claude now has 200,000 parameter like window. The input aspect of it or the context aspect of it not really that important to me. The Now granted, the amount of uh parameters the model is able to hold, like, so like I'm sure when you go out there and you look, you'll see that there's like 3 billion parameter models, there's 7 billion parameter models seem to be like the most popular right now, like between 5 and 7 billion. There's like 16 billion parameter, 32 billion, all that kind of stuff. Because there's so much flying under the radar. So when I talk about the fact that like regulation is just a hoax, essentially, this is why I say that, because there's so much happening under the radar that no one's paying attention to, um, that is decimating what is actually in frontline news. But anyhow, Pay attention to this. He didn't just quit the game. I mean, he got pissed. And why wouldn't you? This human being has spent, granted, 19 years of their life. I don't know how much of that was spent playing Go. Probably nine at least. Come on now. Um, and probably was going to career off of this, right? Off of being the best Go player in the world. Not anymore. I don't know what that means either. Like, and that's what sucks is imagine being the best human at something and then being beat by a machine and knowing not only that you were beat by a machine, that you will never beat the machine ever. I don't know what that does to human ego. I really don't. This guy definitely found out. That's a book worth writing. I don't know. Even when it comes to like AI replacing your job and taking over your job per se, like that's tough to deal with. But man, I really it's like that's not that tough to deal with because you just go find another job, right? You just go do something else and or maybe go do what you were doing for someone else or like there's another space in which to work with it. I don't know, but there was other opportunities there. If you were trying to be, the best, now I guess there's just, the title of best human Go player, right? But this dude wanted to be the best, hands down. Nothing, no one in the world could beat him. And now it's not doable anymore. Right. So, like, we're basically like, we've already had this, like, we're going to, if we haven't done it yet, I don't think, like, officially, but we are going to have to start redefining things and saying the best human as opposed to the best machine or the best overall. Like, who can do something the fastest is going to specifically relate to which human can do something the fastest because whatever that thing is will most likely be done the fastest by machines. So like that's the thing. And that's probably why, right? Yep. Yep. I mean, like, talk about waking a sleeping dragon, right? That's essentially what we did. We walked into their backyard and we said, "Yeah, our computer can beat your best human," right? Nobody wants to admit that. People don't even want to admit that GPT is better at doing things than they are. And I'm honestly, so here's something, and I hope it's not sharing too much. Uh, if it is, I'm sorry. I hope it's not sharing too much though. Um, just because it's so personal, and I've read it happening to other people, but this is the first time that it happened to me and my wife, and I think that it's paramount because it is just such a perfect example of why this technology is so necessary and what it is that makes it so powerful. Um, Last weekend, and also part of the reason that the show is from a different place is because we had to go up to see my mother-in-law, and that happened because she's been have been suffering from alcoholism for a while, and came to be that basically, a couple different things took place. Like she had fallen down, and there were just some other symptoms that were involved. And what had happened at the time was that, like, nobody, like, people living in the area, like her husband and my wife's sisters, like, nobody was really, too concerned about it, like, out the gate, because really no one knew, like, what to be concerned about, right? Not joking, like, as my wife is on the phone talking to her sisters and I'm overhearing these symptoms that are going on, I have GPT open and I'm typing into GPT, and I'm like, hey, look, I have this scenario where this woman of this age felt this going on history, and is like recently in today, and information that it spit out was life saving, was life threatening. But because of the fact that it gave us that information, I was able to tell my wife to get her sisters to go over there to get an ambulance to get mom to the hospital, and it saved her life. It saved her life. She could have died. She would have died within an hour. She would have died within an hour, hands down. So this technology, like, even on a personal level, it means a lot to me. Um, it is it's so very positively powerful, and it is on us as a species to be responsible with it, to do the right things with it, um, to use it to BS that we put ourselves through all the time, uh, both from, like, a monetary perspective, but also from just personal perspectives, from uh, professional, with regards to how businesses operate and how businesses treat their customers. I look forward to that in general. Like, obviously from a marketing perspective, customer service getting crazy, crazy better over the next few years. Um, and again, really just very, very happy that medical has moved so quickly uh, in the last year. It's moved ahead so quickly, and I'm sure that the entire industry and doctors have just they're probably jumping for joy at this kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, to me, just that, again, it's not like I haven't seen other examples of people using GPT to solve medical issues. I've read at least 5 or 6 different uh, scenarios about it. To have it happen to you personally, it really is. It changes your perspective entirely. Like I said, it's been difficult for people to trust this technology. It is difficult to trust this technology. You don't, like, in a lot of cases, you don't want to admit, again, that a machine knows more than you. I guess, I don't know. I've never had a problem with it. I've never had a problem with, like, a computer being better than me. Um, I've always looked at, and because I've always played strategy games too. Excuse me. I've always looked at it from a perspective of, this is the pinnacle, and if you can even get close to the pinnacle, or if you can actually beat the pinnacle, then that helps to make you the best. Right. So, like, if you were actually able to beat a machine at doing something, uh, then that would qualify you for being, really, really damn good. Right. Uh, Unfortunately, now, if in the future, that it's just not going to be the case. Like, these, obviously these systems, the I think what makes them so powerful is the adaptation aspect. Two things: the adaptation and the memory. So the fact that it remembers everything all the time and can adapt itself to whatever the use case is or whatever the user is doing. I think that's what makes it crazy, crazy powerful as a system, and makes it amazing in terms of being able to work with, being able to move forward. Like I said, in the future, the way that I see not only like especially prosthesis, right? But not only that, but so many other systems. I see them just working in tandem with each other, where the aspect of whatever is cybernetic or what have you about what it is that you're um, part of your life or what have it, or whatever it might be, it becomes more natural. What we do on an everyday basis becomes more natural. I didn't think about it until just now. I don't know why. But there's a slight concern, I suppose, with the aspect of agents and them being like, I don't know, the tastiest apple that's ever been appled, right? And it would be amazing. And it would be so tasty, and everybody would love it, and it would just be the greatest apple ever. And then I would put other apple growers out of business, and that would be the collateral damage, right? So it doesn't matter what you do that you think is going to be amazing. It could be that you save, let's you create the cure for everlasting life. Awesome. You've also now created overpopulation. Balance. There's always balance. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always the flip side of the coin. So just that to say that these assistants and these agents are going to be awesome, but yes, expect and understand that you're going to see stories about people who get too wrapped up in it, children who get too wrapped up in the agents that their parents bought for them, to the point where it's this. We've seen it already. This isn't going to be anything new. It will be a rehash of things we have already seen. We saw this with consoles. Your kids had had their console systems. They were addicted to their console systems. How long have we been talking about gaming addiction? Right. And then when parents went to take the console systems away, the kids flipped out. In some cases, kids killed their parents because they took the consoles away. Anybody sue Microsoft? Was there any like mass lawsuits against the gaming companies for, quote, having made it too addictive? No, because we all understand that it is an aspect that it's part of human behavior, and that the kids should likely have been have been parented slightly better, in the sense that thank you, baby. Should have it should have been slightly better, just in the sense that maybe your kids could have used a lesson in being able to control themselves, either from gaming or from their emotions or whatever it is. Anyway, I think that's so. And what's the blowback from that is parents who limit screen time, right? So screen time limitations became a byproduct of gaming addiction. So yeah, there's going to be some issues with it, but I think overall it's going to greatly benefit society. Look, we're walking right into iRobot. We're walking right into it. Man, I didn't think I was going to spend this much time on news and stuff, but kind of glad I did. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the big thing next year. I'm already kind of there. I was telling my wife the same thing, that I'm already, and I have been, but it's never been more apparent until this year. Really, I've been waiting to get away from keyboards. I've been waiting to get away from like clicking and touching and any of that kind of stuff. So I'm so very, very, very much looking forward to just voice command everything. Like really, really good. And GPT's voice aspect is really good. Google's is getting much better too. So like when I use my Google Assistant, it's far more accurate and much faster than it was last year. So again, they might say, "Oh, we haven't plugged Bard into stuff," but again, like they're so many of these guys are doing stuff in the background and just not saying anything about it. I'm telling you that Intel story went completely under the radar. Completely under the radar. Nobody was talking about that. I haven't that I know of. I think I was the only one that's been talking about that. That when it happened. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see more advancement. Outside of assistance, it's going to become a huge thing going into mid next year, and then like what's really going to be shocking is like what happens towards the end of 24. Definitely going to start seeing more. like EVs, but not just EVs. You're going to start seeing because AI is being implemented into the EVs. That's why you're going to start seeing more of them. And I shouldn't say EVs. You're going to start seeing more autonomous vehicles altogether. And it's because as we're putting these large language model systems into the software behind the automated systems, it's making them that much better because again, they're able to adapt on the fly and not just adapt on the fly, but then they can share that data across a network with all the other cars so that they all know how to adapt to the same condition. Right. I think it's awesome. I know that we're going to see driverless trucks. Uh, wow, really? There are so many more companies. Aurora is definitely the leading one. I haven't heard of Kodiak. Uh, Nikola kind of backed out of the game. I didn't follow up. I don't know if they went bankrupt or not. Um, so yeah, so you've got self-driving 18 wheelers, right? That's the next big thing. And where are all the robot trucks? What's funny is that it's not is it Aurora? Yeah, Aurora already made the statement and they're like, yeah, we're going to be on the road fully by the end of 24. So they're already like this is going to be a reality by the end of 2024. Right. I think it's awesome. Again, collateral damage, bye bye truckers, right? And I think it's bye bye truckers in a very particular sense. Um, what I think is going to happen is like you'll have the autonomous truck do the long haul, and then you'll have the trucker doing the short haul. So you'll have the long haul being done, automatically, and then truckers will basically work within a city, and they'll drive the autonomous truck they'll pick it up at a location and drive it to wherever the specific drop off is. I think inner city driving with autonomous vehicles, they're doing it with taxis, robo taxi. I think maybe no, yeah, Austin. Okay, so yeah, like Waymo. I mean, again, it looks nuts, right? And we all say the same stuff about this tech when it first comes out, but um, it's going to adapt and get better. That's what I don't get it when people make fun of the stuff that comes out, like when it first comes out, and it's just like, oh my god, like whatever the comment might be, it's like okay, but it's the first rendition, right? So I'm sure 5, 6 models in, it's going to look amazing, which is only going to take 2, 3 years. So really, like what the fact that stuff isn't amazing the moment that it walks out the door, that the whole iPhone Steve Jobs thing really just warped the hell out of people, really did. Um, if every company could take 5 years to come out with its product, with its flagship product, yeah, I'm sure. I think it took them like 6 or 7, to be honest. Um, Driverless cruise robots, yeah. So like that's becoming a thing. Just robotics in general. And again, let's just look within the last month, really. I really, like, hey, Google, why is everybody using like Bard or something instead of your stuff? Because of this. Because of the first page being nothing but sponsored, paid for crap, right? So we all have to do this just to even get to actual search results. Right out loud. Um, yeah, Medium is like all over the place with this stuff, except for the fact that you have to sign up and pay for just to be able to read almost every single article. Um, yeah, that doesn't surprise me because it's just like if you've seen invasive procedures, it's interesting in that they say in order for doctors currently to get better at doing uh, non-invasive medical procedures with the laparoscopy machines, that they should play video games for 3 hours a week at like minimum in order to increase their hand-eye coordination, right? Which makes perfect sense. But if what you need is hand-eye coordination to do what you're doing. So we again, like we're taking these steps backward where initially we thought, look, at first we thought you couldn't even operate on a human heart, right? Without being able to we didn't think it was possible, right? So we broached the ability to actually do like open heart surgery and among other things. And so surgery really for the longest time it's come down to the human hand, right? The doctor's stable hand and like have a hand for surgery and that kind of stuff. And you need a stable hand, right? So that you don't make mistakes. And so now we use these machines, essentially extensions of the doctor, to be able to do these surgeries. Why? Because where the doctor can make like a quarter-inch movement with their thumb, the machine might only make a couple millimeter adjustment, right? So there's a relationship that goes on there where it now becomes extremely unlikely that a doctor is going to nick something or like mistakenly cut something or pull whatever, tear something, whatever it might be, right? It becomes really really difficult and stuff, and that otherwise is a routine thing. Why couldn't a program do it? Why can't a program do that? Especially if the program, again, like it's multimodal, so it can see what it's doing real time on a camera feed, just like the doctor can. What's the difference? Machine's actually got even more data in it because that doctor only has what that doctor can remember. The machine has every doctor's piece of information plus history plus the patient history, all sitting there, all accessible at any time. So if it needs to make a split second decision on like whether or not to go in a particular direction or to cut something or move something or whatever it's going to do, it has the ability to make that split second decision based on and balanced against millions, billions, and now trillions of points of data, right? Why does a trillion parameter model seem important? Well, again, the reason that there are different levels of parameters in the first place is just in terms of like what the tool is, right? So like GPT-4 is like a four, no, it's like a one, no, I can't remember. It's massive. It's massive. I want to say it's either in the tens or hundreds of billions, something like that, in terms of overall knowledge that it has, right? Now, the reason that the 5, 7, and 16 billion parameter models are talked about as being better than the other ones is because those smaller models are fine-tuned on very specific knowledge. So if you have a 7 billion parameter model that's very specifically trained on, let's say, mechanical knowledge, it will be a far better mechanical resource, like infinitely better than just GPT. Because GPT knows about mechanics, it knows about cooking, it knows about aeronautics, it knows about space travel, it knows about all this other stuff, right? Meanwhile, this other model only knows about mechanics. It couldn't possibly, so two things happen. One, it couldn't possibly hallucinate. It couldn't possibly take another piece of non-mechanical based information and mix it in with actual, like legitimate mechanical info. And two, your answer is far more like the accuracy of your answer is just shoots through the roof because again, the knowledge is based solely on the subject matter, not anything else. Right. So in other words, like if you're asking it like, hey, is this possible? And it's trained on all knowledge and it says this is impossible, you know for sure that it's not, right? And then you can start working on a method to actually make it possible or whatever. Anyhow, so a trillion parameter model, why is that like useful if the 400 billion parameter ones are over the top and all that kind of stuff? I don't know. Somewhere out there is a trillion parameters of data that is specific to a particular thing, right? If you wanted to take every written text in the world and fit it into a system, like every written book, I wouldn't say every text. I wouldn't include newspapers and articles and things of that nature, just books. So if you wanted to contain every single novel ever written in one system, yeah, I would imagine you'd need something that could hold that was like a trillion parameter model. Maybe. I don't know. But for once, I'm actually going to end the show slightly early, um, just by a couple minutes. I do apologize that we didn't do anything with GPT today. We'll definitely plan. I actually have something that I want to do and show you guys for next week. It's just that I haven't had a whole lot of time to conversate with you guys about like what's happening in the world of AI. Usually, I talk about like two or three things and then kind of move on. So, um, hope you guys got quite a bit of info out of this one, just in general, in terms of like what's going on in the world, as well as just like to share my opinions on things. Would love to hear your guys' opinions on where you think a lot of this stuff is going, how it helps you in your everyday life, what you're looking forward to seeing in 24, just what you're looking forward to seeing capability wise from AI in general. Um, and yeah, otherwise, I hope that, as per usual, that you guys have had a great weekend. Please, please, please stay safe for the New Year's. I wish you guys all happy New Year's. And yeah, thanks for coming along to GPT with me. See you guys.